At the beginning of the story, a group of high school students are shown going on a trip to Columbia University. On the same bus, we see a quiet and simple boy named Peter. Peter is the main character of this story. He likes a girl from his class named Mary Jane and wants to become friends with her. But Mary's friends often make fun of Peter because he is different from the other students and acts like a nerdy bookworm. Peter has only one close friend, whose name is Harry. Harry belongs to a very rich family, and his father is a famous scientist who works at the university. On the other side, Peter's life is very difficult because his parents are no longer alive. That's why he lives with his Uncle Ben and Aunt May, who love him like their own son. Inside the university, all the students are shown a genetic laboratory where experiments are being done on different kinds of spiders. The scientists explain the unique powers of those spiders. During that moment, Peter secretly starts taking pictures of Mary because he truly likes her. But suddenly, a strange and dangerous spider that had escaped inside the lab bites Peter on his hand. At first, Peter does not take it very seriously and returns home normally. But after reaching home, his condition suddenly starts getting worse. His whole body becomes weak, and he collapses unconscious onto his bed. Slowly, strange changes begin happening inside Peter's body and mind. He starts developing powers that no normal human could ever possess. Without realizing it, Peter's entire life is about to change forever. On the other side, Harry's father, Norman Osborn, who is a brilliant scientist, is working on creating a dangerous weapon for the military. To make the experiment successful, he decides to test it on himself, but the experiment goes horribly wrong. Because of that serum, Norman's mind slowly starts losing control, and he begins turning into an extremely dangerous man. Norman Osborn's condition keeps getting worse day by day. Because of that dangerous experiment, he completely loses control over his mind. In anger and madness, he even kills his own assistant. Now a deadly second personality has awakened inside him. The next morning, when Peter wakes up, he realizes that something major has changed inside him. The boy who could barely see properly without glasses can now see everything perfectly clear. Not only that, his skinny and weak body has suddenly become strong and muscular. At school, Peter uses his new powers to save Mary Jane from falling down. On top of that, he even catches her food while jumping through the air. Seeing all this, Mary Jane becomes very impressed because Peter is no longer the weak boy he used to be. After this, while Peter is eating food, spider webs suddenly start shooting out from his hands. He gets shocked and tries to stop them, but during the chaos, his food accidentally falls onto some bully boys nearby. Peter tries to leave from there, but then he realizes that his tray is stuck to his hand. Seeing this, everyone around him becomes completely shocked. Now those bully boys move forward to beat Peter up, but at that moment, another one of Peter's new powers gets revealed. His senses have now become so sharp that he can feel danger before it happens. As soon as the boys attack him, Peter easily dodges every single move and defeats all of them by himself. While going back home, Peter discovers that he can stick to any wall or surface. He can now crawl on walls exactly like a spider. Peter understands that he no longer has the powers of a normal human being, so he decides to use these abilities to earn money. Because of this, he plans to participate in a wrestling competition. But before that, Peter creates a special costume for himself, a suit that would later become famous across the entire world as Spider-Man. The next morning, Peter gets ready to go to the wrestling competition. By now, Uncle Ben and Aunt May have also learned about the new powers inside him. On the way, Uncle Ben explains something very important to Peter. He tells him that when a person has great power, great responsibility also comes with it. Peter does not take those words very seriously at that moment, but later they would become the biggest rule of his entire life. After this, Uncle Ben drops him outside the wrestling tournament. As soon as Peter enters, he sees huge and powerful wrestlers fighting inside the arena. But Peter is no longer an ordinary boy now. Because of his spider powers, he easily defeats every wrestler and wins the match. But after winning, the tournament manager cheats Peter. He clearly refuses to give him the amount of money he had promised. Peter becomes extremely angry, but he starts leaving the place. At that same moment, a thief suddenly arrives there and steals all the manager's money before running away. The manager immediately asks Peter for help and tells him to stop the thief, but out of anger, Peter refuses to help him and says that it is not his problem. Sometime later, when Peter walks out of the building, he sees a huge crowd gathered outside. The moment he moves closer to see what happened, his entire world falls apart. The same thief whom Peter had allowed to escape had shot Uncle Ben in order to steal his car. Seeing his uncle in that condition completely breaks Peter from inside. Now, he had lost the biggest support of his life. Filled with anger and pain, Peter starts chasing after the thief. With the help of his new powers and sharp senses, he tracks him down very easily. Eventually, the thief gets trapped inside a building. Peter is just about to attack him, but suddenly the thief slips and falls out of a window to his death. At that moment, Peter realizes the biggest mistake of his life. If he had stopped that thief earlier, maybe his uncle would still be alive today. Now Aunt May is the only family Peter has left, and from that day onward, Peter decides decides that he will use his powers only for helping people. On the other side, Harry's father, Norman Osborn, had now completely lost his mind. That dangerous experiment had affected his brain so badly that he could no longer control himself. A cruel and deadly personality had fully awakened inside him. Now Norman wants revenge on everyone who mocked his invention or tried to humiliate him. To begin his revenge, he uses the machine he created himself. He wears a dangerous metallic suit and rides on his flying glider before heading out. After this, he attacks the military's new weapon experiments. He destroys everything present there and even kills the people connected to that project. This is where it becomes clear that he is going to be the biggest villain of the story. On the other side, Peter's school life has now come to an end. While returning home, he keeps remembering the words of Uncle Ben again and again. Now he finally starts understanding how important it is to use power in the right way. After this, Peter wears the superhero suit he created and steps out to fight against evil. Now, whenever there is any crime, robbery, or innocent person in danger, Peter's sharp spider senses warn him before anything happens. Then Spider-Man immediately arrives there and helps people. Sometimes he jumps across tall buildings, sometimes he swings through the air using his webs, and sometimes he defeats criminals with his incredible strength. Slowly, the name of Spider-Man starts spreading across the entire city. People begin talking about him everywhere. Some people believe that he is a real superhero, while others think he is some kind of giant spider-like human. But no matter what people think about him, Spider-Man has now become a new symbol of hope for the people of the city. But the truth is known only to Peter. After some time, Peter gets a job at a newspaper company. His work is to take pictures of Spider-Man and sell them to the newspaper. The funny part is that the clearest and best photos are actually taken by Spider-Man himself, meaning Peter. The owner of that newspaper absolutely hates Spider-Man. He always calls him a danger to the city, but he has no idea that his own employee Peter is the real Spider-Man. Since Spider-Man moves incredibly fast, no other photographer is able to capture clear pictures of him. Because of this, the newspaper company starts paying Peter good money. On the other side, Norman Osborn's condition keeps becoming even more dangerous. His company finally decides to remove him because his experiments are causing huge losses to the business. Hearing this drives Norman completely mad with anger. He feels that the same people for whom he did everything are now betraying him. In rage, he decides to go to the city's biggest cultural festival. Thousands of people are present there, which means he can easily create massive destruction. Peter is also present at the same festival because he has to take pictures for the newspaper. There, he also sees his friend Harry and Mary Jane. But suddenly, Peter's spider sense warns him about danger. He realizes that something terrible is about to happen. All of a sudden, a flying glider appears in the sky. Sitting on it is Norman Osborn wearing his dangerous metallic suit. At first, people become shocked after seeing him. They think it is probably some new invention being shown at the festival. But then a man from the company recognizes him and realizes that it is the same dangerous glider. Spider-Man and everyone else are still watching him carefully when Norman suddenly throws a bomb. The bomb crashes directly into a building, and with a massive explosion, the entire structure gets destroyed. Chaos spreads everywhere. People start screaming and running in every direction. Many people begin falling from above. Spider-Man watches all this happening right in front of his eyes, and now he understands that a massive danger has arrived in the city. As soon as Spider-Man sees that a huge part of the building is about to fall on two people, he quickly pulls them back to safety with the help of his webs. Right after this, Peter hurriedly changes his clothes and becomes Spider-Man. On the other side, Harry and Mary Jane are also trapped in serious danger there. At the same time, the mad scientist reaches the people from his company and throws a deadly weapon at them. The moment the weapon hits them, they instantly turn into skeletons and burn into ashes. Seeing this makes every person there tremble in fear. Suddenly, a part of the building falls onto Harry while he is trying to save Mary Jane. Because of the powerful impact, Harry gets knocked unconscious. Now that dangerous scientist starts moving directly toward Mary Jane, but just then, Spider-Man suddenly arrives there. The moment Spider-Man appears, he throws the villain aside and immediately starts saving people's lives. He even rescues a small child from the debris, but as Spider-Man moves closer to the scientist, the villain uses his strength to throw Spider-Man far away. After this, an intense battle begins between the two of them. The scientist keeps attacking Spider-Man again and again because he wants to destroy him completely, but suddenly, Spider-Man jumps high into the air and reaches above him. Now the flying glider also starts chasing Spider-Man. A dangerous fight begins between them in the sky. During all this, Spider-Man moves toward Mary Jane to save her, but the glider is speeding right behind him. At that moment, Spider-Man uses his web to cover the scientist's eyes and face, making him unable to see for a few seconds. Taking advantage of that moment, Spider-Man damages his glider and safely rescues Mary Jane. Before leaving, the scientist warns Spider-Man that the two of them will definitely meet again. After this, Mary Jane asks Spider-Man who he really is. is. Then Spider-Man smiles and replies that he is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. After this, the dangerous scientist gives Spider-Man a strange offer. He says that if the two of them join together, they can rule the entire world. But Spider-Man was not the kind of person who would misuse his powers. His purpose was to save people, not rule over them. That is why he clearly refuses the scientist's offer. After this, the villain starts creating even more destruction across the city. He sets a building on fire. People begin screaming in fear everywhere. Just then, Spider-Man arrives there and risks his own life to save everyone trapped inside. But at the same time, the scientist is about to release another dangerous bomb. Spider-Man tries to stop him, but during the fight, his hand gets injured. Sometime later, we see Peter, his friends, and that same scientist sitting together at a dinner table. The dinner is taking place at Peter's house. None of the people there know the truth that this very scientist is the one destroying the entire city. Everyone still considers him a respected scientist, but then the scientist notices the injury on Peter's hand. He realizes that it is the exact same wound Spider-Man received during their earlier fight. Right at that moment, he understands that Peter is the real Spider-Man. After learning this truth, he becomes filled with rage from inside and immediately leaves the place. Now that he knows Spider-Man's true identity, the scientist wants to give Peter emotional pain. In anger, he attacks Peter's Aunt May. Because of this attack, Aunt May gets badly injured and has to be admitted to the hospital. Sometime later, Peter's friend Harry and Mary Jane come to the hospital to visit them. While Peter and Mary Jane are talking to each other there, Harry realizes that both of them have feelings for one another. Seeing this completely breaks Harry's heart because he himself is also in love with Mary Jane. Feeling hurt, he leaves from there and tells his father everything. Now the scientist has discovered another one of Spider-Man's biggest weaknesses, Mary Jane. That is why he immediately takes off on his glider and kidnaps Mary Jane. Now the dangerous scientist sets up a deadly trap for Spider-Man. On one side, he holds Mary Jane captive, and on the other side, he hangs a trolley full of children from a bridge. Now, Spider-Man is forced to make an impossible choice. If he saves the children, Mary Jane will die. And if he saves Mary Jane, all those children will lose their lives. After saying this, the scientist drops both of them down. Without wasting a single second, Spider-Man jumps forward at full speed. First, he catches Mary Jane, and then he tries to stop the trolley with the help of his webs. But suddenly, his web starts breaking, and both Mary Jane and the trolley begin slipping from his hands. Even then, Spider-Man refuses to give up. Using all his strength, he leaps once again and grabs the trolley. Now Mary Jane is hanging from that same trolley. After a very difficult struggle, Spider-Man finally manages to move the trolley toward a nearby rescue ship and saves all the children. But just then, the scientist attacks Spider-Man from behind with full force. Because of that attack, Spider-Man crashes into a distant building. After this, the scientist also releases a dangerous bomb that weakens Spider-Man badly. Now he can barely even fight properly. At the same time, the glider keeps attacking Spider-Man again and again. A brutal battle begins between both of them. Spider-Man uses his webs, but because his powers are weakening, he slowly starts losing strength. Now the scientist is just about to kill Spider-Man, but at that moment, Spider-Man remembers the words of Uncle Ben. He gathers all the strength he has left and throws the scientist away with powerful force. Then, using his web, he pulls down a huge wall on top of him. But even after all this, the scientist still survives. Now Spider-Man turns around and starts attacking him back. After taking hits for so long, Spider-Man finally begins overpowering him badly. Just when Spider-Man is about to finish him, the scientist removes his helmet. Now he starts begging for mercy and says that the real villain was the Goblin, not him, but this was only a trick. From behind, he was secretly about to attack Spider-Man with his glider, but suddenly, Spider-Man's spider sense warns him about the danger. He instantly jumps upward, and in the very next moment, that same glider flies straight into the scientist and kills him. This is how the dangerous villain finally meets his end. After this, Spider-Man delivers his body to Harry's house. At the end of the movie, we see Peter standing near Uncle Ben's grave. He feels deeply heartbroken from inside. Just then, Mary Jane arrives there and confesses her love to Peter. This is where the story of Spider-Man comes to an end. So, how did you like this movie? Make sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, then like the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can keep watching more amazing stories like this. See you again in the next video.